hello. How's it going, people? Welcome to the stream, March 3rd, and today we have some news because obviously a few days ago, sporting director rumors sparked the Arsenal's fan base given the fact that. Was it? No, it was The Athletic. David Ornstein tweeted out that and reported that Arsenal, by the end of March, will appoint a new sporting director because this has been one of the hot topics regarding Arsenal, especially since Edu has been on leave of absence and all that stuff. And today we got some big updates. Let's be real, it's actually not small updates, it's actually for a change a very big update regarding the situation because it looks like for a change Arsenal actually are gonna do what's necessary. For a change, it looks that way. Where it's gonna happen or not remains to be seen because it's all in the rumor mill, obviously, for now. But Fabrizio Romano has tweeted on it, so we're gonna look at that, we're gonna talk about it because out of the 5 candidates that we had, we discussed it a few days ago, he was my favorite. So we're gonna talk about Andrea Berta, of course, and that means also what's happening with Mikel Arteta. Will his job be in balance? Will that affect anything? Time only will tell, but we're going to tackle a bit that. That's going to be in the first 30 to 40 minutes of the stream, and of course in the end part of the stream. Tomorrow, Champions League, Arsenal versus PSV. We are traveling to Eindhoven, and of course we'll see how we do there. So we're going to have a PSV versus Arsenal preview. I hope that by the time we're gonna get to it, there will be a live transcript of the written transcript, of course, of Mikel Arteta's interview, so we're gonna look at that. But for now, of course, like the stream if you haven't already, subscribe if you're new around here, aiming for 500 subscribers and all that good jazz, and of course, leave your thoughts down in the live chat below. Let's tackle them, let's discuss the new sporting director potentially for Arsenal, PSV game, and all that good stuff. And of course, we're gonna kick things off with this. Andrea Berta, Italian, ex-Atletico Madrid, and all that good stuff. That actually sounds very promising. Apparently, according to Fabrizio Romano, understand that Andrea Berta is now the top candidate to become the new Arsenal sporting director in order to replace Edu Gaspar, which for me is music to my ears because this is how a serious club operates. They get someone who is actually some top tier, one of the best in business, to matter of fact. Let's be real. That for me is how a proper club should operate. Not sign Rosicki, Mertesacker, Edu, Eito, or someone like that, but to actually go for someone who has worked for a big club, has a proven success record, and knows how to get the job done. And discussions already have taken place. Berta has left Atletico Madrid after building a team with key signings in the recent years. Actually, those signings, we're going to look at them, so bear with me here. And talks are apparently in advanced stage. Nothing done, nothing sealed as of yet, but talks are progressing allegedly really well, and it looks like Andrea Berta currently is the favorite to become Arsenal's sporting director, which, as I said, is music to my ears. And according to Gazzetta Italia, to add to this, apparently AC Milan have missed out on Andrea Berta, who is heading to Arsenal. And that basically comes out with the facts that apparently he has rejected AC Milan to potentially come to Arsenal. Now, this is pretty much like a transfer rumor mill, let's be real, in terms of how Arsenal do things, because someone's interested, talks have taken place and all that stuff. We hear this all throughout the transfer window. But this arguably is the most serious signing in the recent years. Seriously, if you think about it, this actually is one of the most serious signings because over the last 10 years, even if not more, since David Dean basically, the sporting director role in Arsenal have been very neglected. Just like Arteta currently is neglecting Arsenal's striker and attack positions, same way can be said about Arsenal in general and their sporting director situation. It has been neglected quite heavily. And now it looks like after all these random guys, random things, we could be getting actually some proper sporting director, which is, in this instance, Andrea Berta, which actually sounds very promising and very hopeful for me because he, out of the 5 who were Eto, Ashford, obviously Berta, Olabe, and who's the 5th one? I forgot the 5th one. How is that happening? Eto, Ashford, Olabe, Berta, and who was the 5th one? How my mind is blanking on this. I forgot who's the fifth one, but basically this was my favorite. Oh, the one from Monaco. The one from Monaco. This is my favorite one. This was my favorite because he has been under Simeone for years, to be honest, if we look at things. He has been under Simeone's tutoring. He has been sporting director for years. If we look at things, if we look at Transfermarkt, if we look at Andrea Berta, it actually is the interesting thing. Here we go, sporting director. If you look at his track record, he has a decent track record, let's be real. He's been at Genoa as a sporting director. He's been at Parma as a sporting director. He's been at Atletico Madrid for over a decade. For 12 years he has been at Atletico Madrid, right? And he has been basically together with Simeone for the longest time. And let's be real, Simeone is a bit of a wild card, and he is definitely not a yes man. And that is something, that is a dynamic I desperately want at Arsenal. Because it feels like Arsenal's team in general is completely made of yes men. Arteta is surrounded by yes men, and we need someone who can say no to his face, who can ruffle his feathers. But there's a bit of an interesting fact which I'm gonna talk about you in a second regarding specifically Cronkies and how they operate at their clubs and how US franchises in general operate around their clubs. We're gonna get to that in a second as well. But look, he has been there for the longest time. He's been there for 12 years, which is quite phenomenal, let's be real. And if we look at his track record, he has signed some phenomenal players, if you ask me. He has signed some phenomenal players at Atletico Madrid. Obviously, there have been some misses, let's not kid ourselves, like João Felix for 127 million and Thomas Lemar for 72 million. But let's be real, Julian Alvarez has been fantastic this season for Atletico Madrid. Diego Costa, fantastic. De Paul, Mateusz Cunha, Antoine Griezmann, Rodri, Jan Oblak, Luis Suarez, Diogo Jota. Those have been some fantastic signings, to say the least. And look, he got Rodri for 20 million, Oblak for 16, Luis Suarez for 9, by the way. Antoine Griezmann for only 30 million, Rodrigo De Paul for 35. Those have been some fantastic signings from Andrea Berta, and that builds me with massive confidence because based on this CV, on the big signings he has made at Atletico Madrid, it just for me personally shows that he's actually a goal-getter. He's a shark. He actually, when he knocks on the door gets opened and it's a serious businessman discussion. It's not like a knock when Edu like sheepishly knocks on door or Eto knocks on door and at best circumstances they just open the peephole, look who it is and close it and says, go away, we don't want you here. We got left on red in WhatsApp messages. That's what it was under Edu and Eto, and even Eto and even before. Let's be real. And Andrea Berta looks like he could be the man for the job. He's Italian as well, so there is less familiarity because if we got Olabe, there would be this Arteta dynamic as well, so that could be quite nuts for Arsenal. Big up Mike, my guy. Big up, welcome to the stream, and it's looking quite promising if Arsenal get it over the line. If you ask me, it looks very promising. If we get him over the line, let's be real, let's not kid ourselves. Now, if we look at this, where is it? History, I think history. Where was it? I forgot. Where was it? Profile, personal record, managers, players used, achievements. I want to find where there are. Well, we could go to just Atletico Madrid. Let's be real. We can go to Atletico Madrid and see who he has signed in the last 10-15 years. Let's be real, Atletico Madrid is a big club. It's not the club who has the most amount of money, sorry, but at the same time, he knows how to sell players. And that is a big thing. That is a big thing for me. He knows how to sell and how to sign players. And if we look at the players he has signed, Julian Alvarez, right? Conor Gallagher. They wanted Merino or Gallagher, they got Gallagher. Lenormand, Sorloth have been quite fantastic, let's be real. Let's move a bit further back. Antoine Griezmann, fantastic at Atletico Madrid. I wish we had Antoine Griezmann at Arsenal, let's be real. They have signed some youngsters who are slowly working very well. But now we move, there's Molina, there's Witzel, he was quite good for them, Sergio Reguilon. Of course, Barrios from the B team. I really like Barrios, I'm not gonna lie, and it looks like Arsenal apparently have been linked with Barrios as well, by the way. Not just with other midfielders, but we have been linked with Barrios as well, just in case something goes through. They had Memphis Depay, they had Giuliano Simeone, Diego Simeone's son. He has signed Rodrigo De Paul, Mateus Cunha. They have been phenomenal signings. Let's be real. Let's not kid ourselves. He knows how to get the job done. Genuinely. Alvaro Morata, he was fantastic for them. Kondogbia, Luis Suarez as well. Fantastic for them. Dembele 50-50. They had Lucas Torreira on loan, as wild as it sounds. But yeah, they signed João Felix, Marcos Llorente from Real Madrid's academy for 30 million. Well, from Real Madrid for 30 million. And he's kicking ever since. Hermoso, Trippier did decently for them. Felipe was quite decent. Carrasco was... They loved Carrasco there. Let's not kid ourselves. If you haven't seen Carrasco at Atletico Madrid, he's been quite fantastic. Obviously, these have been misses, but Rodri for only 20 million. Only 20 million from what's its face? From Villarreal has been quite phenomenal for them. Let's be real, they sold him for big money. One of the best players in the world currently. Who else is there, like big ones? Adan, the goalkeeper, they have lots of loans. Diego Costa, Vitolo was somewhat decent, but let's not kid ourselves, he wasn't the greatest. Kevin Gameiro, Nico Gaitan. They had Diogo Jota only for 7 million from Pacos Ferreira. Trust me, he knows how to get the job done. He knows how to get the job done. Jackson Martinez, dude, he at Porto was phenomenal. Let's be real. Vieto, Felipe Luis, Carrasco, of course, he came from Monaco to them for only 15 million. He was quite fantastic signing for them. I remember watching him. Now, who else is here? Oh, Lucas Hernandez, by the way, Atletico Madrid Academy. Lucas Hernandez. Let's not mention Thomas Partey, who we got for them. He came through academy, and of course over the years, Mandzukic, Jan Oblak for only 16 million, Raul Jimenez, that's the same Jimenez, by the way, if you are curious in that regard. And if we even go back, he was in 13. There was Gilavogi, Baptista, Eiderweireld. He signed David Villa for only 2 million from Barcelona. This guy knows how to get the job done, and it doesn't stop there. I kid you not. It doesn't stop there, because as much as we are looking at his signings, one of the biggest places where Arsenal struggle quite heavily are player sales, because we cannot sell players to save our lives. And now if we look at this dynamic specifically, it's actually quite phenomenal. Look at the players they sell and loan out, and that is quite heavily also thanks to Andrea Berta. Look, Felix 52 million, Morata for 13, Sionchu for 8. Yes, they got some players for free, let them go, or some contracts, but Mateus Cunha 50 million, Lodi for 21 million euros, Carrasco for 15 to Al-Shabaab. They bought him for 15, got some nice seasons out of him, then sold him for 15. He knows how to clean the club when it's necessary, and for how much. They sold Lodi again, loaned him out. There are times when they do very silently, but again, they sold Ibanez, they have sold the loans. The loans are pretty much quite a good deal. He knows how to get the loan done. He sold Partey, those were release clauses, let's not forget about that, but loaned out for 20 million, Alvaro Morata. Chao Enrique for 8 million, he's still there, by the way, he's still at Monaco to this day. Arias, Kalinic, Montero, Adan. He sold Griezmann for 120 million to Barcelona just from a few years later for about 40-50 million to buy him back. Sold Rodri for 70 million, he bought him for 20 million himself. Lucas Hernandez was academy player, sold him for 80 million. He knows how to do these things, and this is something what Arsenal, in my opinion, needs desperately. A proper sporting director who knows how to find gems, who has proper talent ID, who knows how to say no to Mikel Arteta, and he is not gonna stand for the BS Arteta is gonna try and push on him, because let's be real, if you're dealing with Simeone for 12 years, you probably are very tough as nails. You are tough as nails, you are tough as they come. And dealing with Arteta, as long as he is here, obviously, it's not gonna be piece of cake. Now, however, there is a big counter argument which I said to you I'm gonna talk to you about. I'm gonna block a screen from this for a second, but I basically today put something in the chat GPT, because I know it sounds weird, but bear with me here. Genuinely bear with me here. Because I've noticed this model in the US franchises, and I've seen this happen. I'm a Chicago Bulls fan myself for the longest time, for 20 years. I don't tweet about them as much and everything, but they did something similar when Karashinovas came in and everything. But I basically put in, tell me, do in USA the owners of sports franchises hire one of the best sporting directors and then fire the coach and find a currently high-level coach to match the general manager? And this was very interesting because Bulls did that, Lakers did that, even New York Knicks did that, Boston Celtics did that, all of them does that. And here it is. Owners prioritize, well, basically in the USA, the structure of the sports franchises, NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, MLS, is quite different from how European football is run. That is pretty much obvious. But owners prioritize the general manager or sporting director in this instance, which could be Andrea Berta in this instance. And in most cases, American sports franchises hire a strong GM or sporting director first, and that would be obviously Andrea Berta, and then allow them to make coaching decisions. Basically, not coach, but you will get what I mean in a second. The GM, the sporting director in this instance, is responsible for team building, trades, drafts, and overall strategy, which basically would be signing players, selling players, loaning players, and all this stuff. How we progress with youth promotions and everything, which we desperately need, let's be real. And then the number 2 is the interesting one. Coaches, specifically in US franchises, right? When they sign a new proper GM or sporting director in Arsenal's terms, is this. If a team underperforms, it's common for the new sporting director to fire the coach and bring in a high-level coach that aligns with their vision. The owner typically allows the sporting director to make these decisions, which means that if we sign Andrea Berta, there will be 2 options. First, Arteta might go instantly, potentially, right? Because it would be up to him, because let's be real, Arteta and Berta will clash quite a bit. Because the way I see Berta and how he has lived with side by side with Diego Simeone, I don't see Berta becoming a yes man, as pretty much every single person in Arsenal's basically club is. And on top of that, Mikel Arteta has his fingers in pretty much in every single cookie jar that Arsenal has. And Andrea Berta, in my opinion, won't stand for it. Won't stand that he overrules him and stuff like that. So basically, 2 things. Either Andrea Berta will talk to Arteta and that's going to be it. Because, let's be real, if Andrea Berta comes, you don't leave, for example, Atletico Madrid and come to Arsenal in this current state, right? If you don't have guarantees from the ownership, in this instance the Kroenkes, which means either the roles, the money, everything, the vision, or maybe even a new coach. Maybe the manager, maybe it has been promised to him, right? So there's a possibility that with his advice or his movements, Mikel Arteta could be gone instantly as soon as he comes in. Potentially, because Mikel Arteta has said, I will die before that, I will go home and everything. Maybe it starts to come in line. Or the other option is, he will be given 1 year to work with Berta in transfer window to sign the necessary players, which is strikers, wingers, forwards, midfielders, everything. They will give Mikel Arteta 1 year, and if he still doesn't win it, he's gone. That is for me the other option that could happen. The thing about this is though, it's a big gamble first of all for Arsenal. Let's be real, because more sense would make if we get Berta signing instantly a new manager, because it would be fresh, it could be ideas, they could be working properly together. The other fact about this is, for me, it's very interesting when I look at if I compare this, because that's the same thing how Kroenkes won with LA Rams. They won the Super Bowl. Something similar. They had top hired GM, top hired coach, invested in some places, did some trades, and it worked. So I think they could try and replicate to a certain extent something with Arsenal at the moment. And if this is a very common thing which you see at the moment on your screen, which happens in USA, specifically their franchises. So I think this could happen to Arsenal. So that's why I have this. Is Arteta's job in balance? I don't think so. I think he might be going sooner than actually we think if he doesn't perform. And I really hope that if Andrea Berta comes, it will shake up the whole club instantly, without shadow of a doubt, because He will have his foot down, and let's be real, he's not going to take crap from anyone. That's at least my hope in this regard. Let's just put it that way. Now, moving to third point, owners don't usually micromanage. Unlike European football, where owners can be very hands-on, like Chelsea, PSG, and stuff like that, obviously Cronkies are not, American owners typically trust the sporting director, Andrea Berta in this instance it would be, run the sporting side while they focus on the business side, which again puts quite a bit of work on the lap of Andrea Berta, which again doesn't go hand in hand with the fact what Mikel Arteta has. Because with the 15 million a year deal, he had increased roles in every single position pretty much at Arsenal. Which means, but if we sign Andrea Berta, it means that they're gonna take some power away from Mikel Arteta, which big chance he got promised when he got the 15 million a year deal contract. Let's think it about that way. And let's be real, if with Andrea Berta at the wheel, we could actually see we should prepare ourselves to being linked with players we have not been linked ever before. Because every single window is the same stories pretty much. It's Awar, it's Benzema, it's Sheshko, it's Vlahovic, it's all these guys. Basically, we have been linked 1 year, and then the next year or 2 years before, then we're linked with them again. I strongly believe that if Berta comes in, we will be linked with names we have never ever been linked before. And if I had, no, for example, Isak, right? We've been linked with him before, but I trust that Andrea Berta actually can get it over the line. Do I trust Edu Arteta or Nato to get that deal over the line? No, I don't. But do I trust Andrea Berta to get it over the line? Yes, I do. Let's just put it that way. And that for me is the big thing. That for me is the big thing. And here it is, how this compares to Arsenal. And that's why I really wanted to talk about this here. In American sports, if an owner decides the sporting director isn't good enough, they fire the sporting director, then hire a top-level sporting director, a better one, who picks a coach to match their philosophy. And this is a big thing for Arsenal, for example. Because Arteta just signed a deal, but Edu left. And now we are hiring a new coach, and based on how he's doing things, at least previously, I'm not too sure it will go as smoothly as people may imagine this. At least that's how I see this. So Arsenal's structure is different because owners have allowed Arteta to be both manager and have a significant transfer influence rather than having a sporting director with full control. And that is a big point. Because many controls, many enabling things that basically Kroenkes gave now Mikel Arteta with a 15 million a year deal to Mikel Arteta, if we sign Berta, will be taken away from him. Because he actually is a very capable sporting director. He's a shark, basically. And that definitely will ruffle some feathers. And I think strongly that is the big thing. If Arsenal were run like an American franchise, they would first fire Edu, which has happened, or Edu has left. They would hire a top-tier sporting director, which could be Andrea Berta, and then let the sporting director, Andrea Berta himself, determine Arteta's fate or hire a better manager. And let's be real, there are many managers who are better than Mikel Arteta, who are getting paid 2, 3, 4 times less than Mikel Arteta. Much better. There's Inzaghi, there is Simeone himself, although he gets paid quite more than Arteta, I think, right now, but in general, right? There's Inzaghi, there are quite a few of those, Nagelsmann and everything. There are quite a few of those. So there's a big possibility that if this all comes to tuition, we could see Mikel Arteta gone at the end of the season. We could see that. Let's be real. Let's not kid ourselves. And this is one of the most hard things that top Gunners don't want to realize. For me, I've been Arteta out for quite a while now. And if you watch my channel long enough, you probably know where I stand with Mikel Arteta. So obviously, people don't like to hear that, but I guess it is what it is. But this is very interesting when I look at this stuff. And it's very weird when I think about it, is that this how the franchises in USA get run, could actually happen to Arsenal this summer. Because by the end of March, we are 28 days left in March, we will know who is our sporting director. And if everything goes that it's currently being portrayed by Fabrizio and everyone else, it could be Roberto Berta. And let's be real, bigger chance than not, Arteta is basically hanging on his last strings as a manager of Arsenal. Let's just put it that way. Genuinely, let's just put it that way. Anyways, enough about Berta. Let's look at some other things. According to El Nacional, one of the top targets of Mikel Arteta himself, in Benjamin Šeško, will face a really big competition from Atletico Madrid in the race to sign him. Now, this is a big thing because it looks like, based on Bundesliga table, that RB Leipzig will struggle to get up for and qualify for Champions League specifically. Because look at this, RB Leipzig. Whoa, this is not how it's supposed to look. This is how it's supposed to look. RB Leipzig currently, specifically right now, are sitting 6th in the table, 38 points. Right? They have 18, 34. They have 10 games left in Bundesliga. Right? And they are 3 points only behind top 4 spot, let's be real, but they are not putting out the best of performances. They're struggling on quite a big scale to some extent, and this could go either way. And especially if they don't get Champions League, he will be on the bounce somewhere. If Atletico Madrid want to get him, I would be actually all for it, sold to the reason it means Arsenal are not going to get him. Because at the current stage, I don't think he is good enough to play for Arsenal. Arsenal currently need to sign top-tier talent. Top-tier talent, and not to sign some development type of players who needs time, who needs growing into the squad, into the league and everything. And Šeško fits that to a T. So I think Benjamin Šeško, the faster he moves to a different club that is not Arsenal, arguably the better it will be for Arsenal in general, if you ask me. Now, in some other random news, international news basically, because international break is also coming very quickly, very swiftly upon us, and apparently Arsenal duo Gabriel Magalhaes and Gabriel Martinelli have both been named in Brazil's preliminary squad for their World Cup qualifiers against Colombia, against Argentina later this month. Very two big massive games coming up for Brazil, arguably the top 3 teams actually. Plus Uruguay, you could argue, but these are, I would say, the top 2 teams in South America currently, besides Brazil, and it will be very interesting. My biggest question in this is, why the hell Martinelli is in that squad? Because he hasn't played a while, he is struggling quite heavily. Berta will sack Arteta, bright future ahead, big up Liam. And I talked about that. I talked about it for the last, 20 minutes, something like that on the stream, how US franchises get run. And there's a big possibility that they will butt heads at best. At best. At worst, he's going to get something will happen. The sparks will fly. And I think Mikel Arteta might actually get the sack or leave at the end of this season, especially if Berta signs. Because Berta will be the sporting director, and that means that he's not a yes man, first of all, and they will not go hand in hand that well as people may imagine potentially. So I'm all for that. I'm all for getting actually some proper sporting director in, because it's been neglected for a decade, if not more. Basically since David Dean, I would argue. And yeah, Arsenal need growth, Arsenal need developments, and Andrea Berta is actually the right man for the job. He was my top choice from the 5 options we were looking at yesterday and the day before. Arteta is done now. Also in press conference, Josh ignored Arteta each other. I didn't see it. I haven't seen the press conference. I genuinely didn't see the press conference, by the way. I didn't see it. But this is the thing. I don't know why I closed it, but this is what I asked ChatGPT. If you haven't seen this, I'm going to put it up just in case if you haven't seen this. I basically put out in ChatGPT with a question. How US franchises run, what they do with sporting directors, do they hire and do they sack anyone? And here it is. Owners prioritize sporting directors. In most cases, American sports franchises hire a strong sporting director, which would be Berta, and then allow the sporting team make coaching decisions. And more specifically, the sporting director is responsible for team buildings, trades, drafts, and basically transfers and all this stuff. And here it is. If a team underperforms, it's common for the new sporting director to fire the coach and bring in a high-level coach that aligns with their vision. And this is why I think genuinely this would happen. And here it is as well. In American sports, if an owner decides the sporting director is not good enough, They fire sporting director, then hire a top level sporting director who picks a coach, the sporting director himself, to coach the philosophy. And how this would go hand in hand with Arsenal specifically is this. If Arsenal were run like American sports franchise, they would, first things first, fire Edu. Edu has left on his own terms, but there was definitely something behind it. Then hire a top tier sporting director, which could be Berta, right? And then let the sporting director determine Arteta's fate, basically keep him or sack him, fire him, and hire a better manager. So for me, there's a big possibility that we might actually be looking at this overall. That if Berta signs, it will be in his hands, because Mikel Arteta, with a 15 million year a deal contract, right, got basically his hands in every single cookie jar. He was so responsible for transfers, he gave the final yes and everything. And now with proper sporting director, if he comes in, right, that means, again, as I said, that some power is gonna get taken away from Arteta. And that definitely will mean that he's gonna be hella pissed, hella annoyed, and he's not gonna stand for it. And this could lead to massive repercussions and potentially sackings and some sparks flying all over the place. Berta hasn't taken crap from Simeone, so he's definitely won't take crap from Arteta. Exactly. Berta is not a yes man, first of all. He's been with Simeone for over a decade. What crap is he gonna take from some wannabe manager who is Mikel Arteta, who has won nothing? First time ever I agree with Arsenal's plans. Yeah, that... I know we are overhyping this maybe because Berta hasn't signed, but Fabrizio has tweeted it, so it's a bit of a hype around Arsenal's fan base at the moment, let's be real. But if this is true and this happens, for a change, Arsenal actually are moving in the right direction. And that is something I wanted to see for the longest time. Could be the case. Kudos to Kroenke for once, yeah. Also, I believe Josh is now more connected to Arsenal than his father Stan. Oh, that's 100% true. That's 100% true. In the last 2-3 years, I've seen Josh more than I've seen Kroenke at Arsenal in the last 15 years, basically, since he has even had 1% stake at Arsenal. Because if they didn't care, why hire Berta, big name? Exactly. For a change, there could be something behind it. I hope he goes. I genuinely hope he goes. I hope he goes, and then we go. Now our next season, I think there is two things. This will go two ways. Either we sign Berta, for example. This basically solely relies on us signing Berta, by the way. But let's just assume we do, right? It means that Arteta is going to be gone at the end of the season, when everything's done and dusted. Or he will work hand in hand with Berta for one season. Arteta will get what he needs, and if he doesn't do it then he's out of the club. Obviously, I hope it's the first option, of course, but obviously, second option, I think we will have to be more patient once again. So it's a big debacle around this. It's a big talking point around this. But I generally believe that Arsenal finally, if this is true and this happens, for a change, are moving in the right direction. And I hope this specific tweet is true and this actually happens. Because yesterday we looked that there was Eto, Ashford, Olabe, Berta, and a somewhat fifth option. And Berta by a mile was my number one choice in this regard. And I'm very, very happy that Fabrizio Romano even has tweeted this. Obviously, it could be kind of connected with the Arsenal are a shit show right now and they want to take our attention away from this. But this actually could be true. And if this is true, oh my goodness gracious. Or maybe Berta had already said sack Arteta before you hire me. Maybe then Champions League game will decide Arteta's future. Could be the case. Could be the case, because this is the thing. According to Gazzetta d'Italia, right, AC Milan tried to get Berta, but he rejected them. So basically, he's Italian, so it would make sense for him to go to AC Milan. But you also don't leave Atletico Madrid and go to Arsenal, because Atletico Madrid, no matter how you look at this, are in a better position than Arsenal, right? You don't go to Arsenal and become the sporting director if you don't have any guarantees. So there has to be, if this is true and they're talking and there are some proper connections there has to be some guarantees about money, about the players and about the manager and everything. There has to be some talking points regarding this and some guarantees. And as I said before, with Berta, he is actually a proper sporting director, which means we could actually see as us, specifically us Arsenal, for a change, being linked with players we haven't been linked ever before. Because we predominantly are linked with the same players, Šeško, Vlahovic, Jose Mawar, and we get linked with Zubimendi for 5 years and stuff like that. We actually could be linked with players we have never ever been linked before. And to add on top of that, those wouldn't be some wannabe players. Those actually could be some top players. Because look at these players in the recent times that Berta has signed while he's been at Atletico Madrid. João Felix and Thomas Lemar, arguably only two players who have been somewhat failed signings for Atletico Madrid. Because Alvarez is doing fantastic this season. Diego Costa, he has won quite a bit. Gallagher, even though he doesn't have the brightest seasons at the moment, he's actually doing very well there. Rodrigo De Paul has been decent for them. Mateusz Cunha, only 35 million. He signed Griezmann for only 30 million, and we have seen how that has worked. Rodri from Villarreal, only for 20 million. He sold him then for 70 million. He signed Griezmann for 30, then sold him to Barcelona for 120 million, and then bought him back for about 50 million. Oblak for only 16, Luis Suarez for 9, Diogo Jota, by the way, the Liverpool guy, only for 7 million. He signed David Villa from Barcelona for 20 million. So Carrasco for 15 million from Monaco. So definitely he has proper talent ID. And this could be huge for Arsenal if this is true. This could be genuinely huge for Arsenal. Exactly. And that is the worst part. I'm actually excited for this. Because the thing I say the most about Arsenal is that if it makes sense, Arsenal won't do it. Stands to a point because they never do. But for a change, they are doing something that actually makes sense. So this is the biggest thing. I'm kind of worried but excited at the same time. Because something that's in Arsenal's DNA is to get you very hyped up, very excited, and you don't get it. This is like your mom telling, oh, we are going to McDonald's. And you say, as a kid, yes, McDonald's, cheeseburgers, hamburgers, Big Macs, and all that stuff. And you only get salad. That would be the equivalent of Arsenal, basically. But there's the possibility that Arsenal have just gotten a new paycheck and we actually gonna get the Big Mac for a change. There's a very big hype around this, I'm not gonna lie. Berta has talent ID, meaning he knows Arteta isn't cut out for Arsenal. Yeah, he actually will take over this, which means there's a big possibility we actually gonna get a new manager who can solely focus on coaching and managing the team, leaving the rest of the job solely on Berta. Signing the players. Obviously, they will talk about players who they sign with the new manager, potentially, right? But the main things that new manager could do is coach and manage the players. And Berta actually will have to sign players, sell them, loan them, and everything. In no way would Berta keep a rookie with his resume. Exactly. That is the biggest thing. Especially when you work for over a decade under a madman like Diego Simeone, let's be real. There's no way he would keep a guy like that. With no backbone, no winning mentality, nothing. That is one of the biggest things about this. Berta has had Simeone, exactly. Simeone school since 2012-2013 season. That is 12 years, over a decade of madness. Exactly, he won't accept a novice. He won't accept pickpockets, squeezing lemons, playing You Never Walk Alone on speakers, buying a dog and all this crap. Arteta likes to pickpocket Arsenal players. Okay, cool. Andrea Berta is from Italy. One call and guy named Tony with his mafia boys comes down from Naples to weigh you in. Job done. Legitimately job done. Definitely has some connections there. Definitely. Anyways, we have about 20-25, maybe we have around half an hour into the stream left. We're going to talk a bit more about Berta, and then we're going to talk about, of course, Arsenal playing PSV. But this is the big one as well. This is what Berta did in 2014. Remember last year in September, where they talked about maybe Rabiot joining Atletico Madrid? He said this: Andrea Berta reportedly told French agent Bruno Satin, "I had two conversations with Rabiot's mother, who is his agent, by the way. Rabiot's agent is his mother, and stopped the negotiations immediately because she was explaining where his son should play on the pitch and how he should play." This is something I need, because this mother who says how he should play and where he should play is definitely a barmy of Mikel Arteta. And if he does that to the mother, he definitely is going to do the same thing with Mikel Arteta. Instantly. Bang, and you're done and dusted out of here. 100%. And everything. But yeah, anyways, let's move a bit forward. Let's talk about Thomas Partey. Very contradicting news today and yesterday about Thomas Partey, because according to Caught Offside, Arsenal want to extend Thomas Partey's contract for 1 year. Obviously, Partey is open to contract extension, however, is not rushing to make a decision because of an interest from Barcelona and Juventus. However, today, according to Charles Watts, Kappa Watts, right? Arsenal have yet to initiate any contract talks with Thomas Partey, and there are growing feeling within the players' camp that the club will not push to keep him beyond the season. So very contradicting reports today and yesterday regarding Thomas Partey. And that is a big question for me. Would you keep Thomas Partey for one more season? Maybe 1 year, maybe one option was 1 more year. Partey isn't the youngest chicken in the coop, let's be real. And even though he's playing very well this season, it's similar like also in the NBA and NHL. It's the contract year, if that makes sense. His contract is running out. He's hoping for a new, bigger paycheck and everything. So he's trying to stay fit. I would keep him personally. The thing about this is, though, the big question marks around this. Yeah, he has worked under Berta. He came up from his academy as well, from Atletico Madrid. The biggest question for me about Thomas Partey is, as a player, I would keep him on the pitch. Off the pitch, regarding these allegations and everything, obviously we don't know whether it's him, whether it's someone else from North London and everything, right? That is the biggest thing. I think Arsenal in that instance could be very reluctant to offer him a new deal, because if it actually is true and for example someone gets proven guilty, right, and it turns out to be him, it will blow up in Arsenal's face big time. And I don't think Arsenal, Cronkies and everything want to put this club in such a position, basically. Because to some extent, it will sparkle some heavy rumors that Arsenal signed him despite knowing what is happening in his personal life and surrounding that situation. And I strongly believe that Arsenal don't want to basically ruin their image as a club, as one of the biggest clubs in England, as one of the biggest clubs in Europe and world football and everything. There are franchise at stake in that sense for Cronkies as well. So this is a very delicate situation potentially for Arsenal as well. Yeah, maybe get somebody else. There were rumors that Arsenal are looking at Barrios from Atletico Madrid, by the way. At Barrios from Atletico Madrid. If you don't know who he is, they're looking at this guy, Pablo Barrios from Atletico Madrid. He's 21 years old. He's a midfielder. Also came through the academy. He plays quite a bit of games. One of the main guys. He plays as an 8, as a 6, sometimes as a 10. Depends on the situation. Has played in every Spain team imaginable, let's be real. And he came from the B team. He's through their academy, basically from Real Madrid to Atletico Madrid, which is not a coincidence, let's be real. But overall, he's gone through all the Atletico Madrid academies. And he's been there since the beginning of time, since he has been also under Simeone. With 21 years old, he has quite a bit of injuries, which is a big worry. And with the muscle injuries that Arsenal players are getting, that is the biggest downfall in this regard regarding the player. There are some reports Arsenal are linked with him. And also, by the way, exactly, Partey's personal life is controversial. For me, if we sign, by the way, Berta, right, I think that pretty much puts a big, massive X cross over Zubimendi deal and over Šeško deal. I strongly believe so. Especially given the fact that apparently, according to rumors, Atletico Madrid are looking at Šeško. So it's gonna be very, very, very interesting how that develops and how that goes. Now, some random news regarding Arsenal. Mail Sport understands that Arsenal are considering not renewing their Visit Rwanda partnership for a third term and are exploring more lucrative sponsorship deals. So it looks like the infamous Visit Rwanda deal might be off and Arsenal will have new sponsorship on their sleeves. There have been a bit of a controversy regarding Visit Rwanda, what's happening in Rwanda and what's surrounding all that. So I think Arsenal again are trying to distance themselves from all of this, basically, and not basically promote that. So it will be very interesting to see if Arsenal don't renew this, what direction they're gonna go, and who will be the new team that's gonna promote new merchandise, a new commercial deal they're gonna sign, and who they going to promote. Now, 15 about half 20 minutes, 25 minutes left in the stream. Let's look at PSV game. Let's look at Paris. Paris. Oh my goodness, PSV Eindhoven game where we're gonna play tomorrow in Netherlands. First game of the round of 16, and yeah. Today in the training ground, Jason Nato, Josh Kroenke, and Richard Garlick all were in the attendance of Arsenal training, which is quite interesting because you don't see that happening too often. Genuinely, you would never see Stan Kroenke doing this walk, let's be real. But the fact that Josh is so involved in this specific time just shows that he's here to sign a sporting director, put Arteta under massive pressure as well. That is something I want to see. I want to see that quite heavily. And Ivan Perisic has talked about Arsenal before the game as well. He said that the last few years they're always missing something to step up and win something. Dude, he's taking shots at Arsenal, I'm not gonna lie. We have to be ready. I know we are going to have a good chance to beat them. And to be honest, he is not speaking anything but facts in this regard. Because let's be real, Arsenal cannot score goals. Our defense is somewhat decent, but we cannot score goals. PSV have won one game in the last 5, let's be real. Same thing like Arsenal, let's be as well, to be honest. But PSV are scoring goals quite heavily. They scored 4 goals against Juventus, a team that basically thrives on their defense under Thiago Motta, right? So it's gonna be a very interesting thing, especially in Netherlands, how we're gonna do them. Obviously, Arsenal have very average record against PSV because we have drawn a game, we have lost a game, and we have won 2 games. So basically, in 4 games, we have 50% win rate, 1 draw, and 1 loss. So we cannot take too much from it. And it's specifically giving Arsenal's injury issues. I'm not taking this as an excuse, just saying Arsenal's injury problems and the fact how Arsenal are playing currently. It could be a very tough situation for Arsenal, especially in Netherlands. So time only will tell time will only tell how that is gonna develop. Now, Arsenal's pre-PSV press conference. Let's see what Mikel Arteta has said. Let's go quickly over this as well. On if tomorrow's game can help change the narrative. It's a game that obviously brings a different energy. It's that competition that puts everyone on their toes. We've done a lot already this season here, and now is the moment to start to make another strong step in the right direction that we want to. I'm very excited for the game. Well, cool. If we are among the contenders for the title, I think in the group stage it was very different. I could see it very open. Now I see it very close because I just see one opponent, which is PSV, and tomorrow's game, and that's it. And to be honest, we can't score goals. That you should be talking about. On mapping out our path to the final, the reality is that me personally, as a coach, I just look at what's ahead. What's ahead is the team, a team that eliminated Juventus with a history. I know the difficulty. We've played against them a lot in recent years, and we know the difficulty of the match. Well, truth be told, he's not wrong. On how instill belief into the players, well, we have to try, and that's about it. Try to explain how we're going to do it and why we do things. Well, okay. On if the boss has to lift the levels as well, yeah, but is expected and real. Broken English. It's really different many times. It's part of our job. The moment that you have it as a result, it's hurting, but it also has to last 24 hours because then you have to move on and you have to face the next game and the preparation. By the way, over the weekend we play against Manchester United. at Old Trafford. Oh my bloody hell. Anyways, if we are over the issues, we cannot change it. Certainly, we have to learn from it, and we have to take it into the next game. That's it. That's a lot of things we have learned this season in the Champions League about ourselves. That's part of our very near past. Now it's everything we are doing now for the near future. That's what we're going to count. Oh bloody hell, he can waffle. I'm not gonna lie. On his message to the players, certainly focusing what we have done in this competition and why we have done it. Okay, cool. There are certain things that we are going to have to adapt. That's certainly unquestionable, and still be very efficient and the top team. Well, good luck with that. I'm not gonna lie. Good luck with adapting. And if he spoke to Josh Kroenke at training, well, he should have. No, because he had to go. But yes, very happy to have him around. Bloody hell. He's around a lot of times for big moments as well. He's the one that really wants to be with the team. It's great to have him. He's been around today and hopefully in the next few days as well. He's around because we are hiring a sporting director and your job is on the line. Let's be real. Don't kid yourself. You are not talking your way out of this one. We're hiring a new sporting director, which looks like to be a very proper one, by the way, according to recent reports. And your job is on the line because he will be responsible for half your things you was responsible to do. And if you don't win anything this season, get out of the club. On if the visit gave him a boost. Oh my goodness. Regardless of what the situation you are in the league, when you start to come to this stage of the Champions League, it's something else. You feel it in the atmosphere, in the energy of the place. It's something else because it's a competition. You don't play weekly and you play in the moment where you are in or out. And that gives you urgency and it gets the best out of us for sure. Well, keep shoveling, keep waffling, my guy. On whether we have the firepower to win the competition. Oh, here we go. Someone's asking something. Again, it's tunnel vision. It's just PSV. Being better than them to earn the right to win the game. That's what we have to do. And to be honest, he's not wrong. He genuinely is not wrong. Now, on whether it will... Whoa, that was weird. On whether it will be a different style of game to what we have faced recently. Normally they behave in different way, but I don't know because they have done different things, special things depending on home or away, or we'll have to wait and see. Game against PSV tomorrow will be very tough. Let's not kid ourselves. They dismantled Juventus being at home as well, so I don't think Arsenal will be also, and it won't be easy for Arsenal. This game will go two ways. Either it will be a stinky 1-0 or a stinky 0-0. Arsenal will stink out the place, take it to the Emirates and obviously ball it there, like we have before predominantly. By the looks of things, because the track record insists that way, let's just say it like that. Or there will be goals in this game. I can see this game either being a stinkfest or this game being actually like a 3-4 goal game. Whether it's going to be a 2-2, 3-1, 3-0 or something like that remains to be seen, obviously. But it's going to be either or. It's not going to be like a 2-1, tied 2-1 with exciting game. It's going to be a stinkfest. It's going to be a very questionable game solely due to the fact that we have no attack. Basically, and our midfield is very unbalanced. That's what the game is going to be. On what the team has learned so far in the Champions League, especially about ourselves, we have played very differently home and away in the last year, especially in Europe. We have been much more consistent. We have scored a lot of goals. I beg to differ. Let's be real. Especially in recent times, we have conceded hardly anything. Well, in Champions League, that's true. Let's be real. In Champions League, we can conceded 2-3 goals only so far this season. So that is true. We have scored as well, but now you have to face in the elimination stages team with a team which is very unbalanced and has no attack. So it's a bit different story. Let's be real. Whether having the ball in the opposition half more leads to facing a low block. Sometimes it's not a choice. Sometimes we have had a lot of chances that we didn't execute well enough. Well, that's true. Let's be real. We cannot finish our dinner. And that moment when the teams are disorganized and we are organized. We have faced a lot of them. We have played nearly every game for a back five, for example. The other day they behaved like that in a different way because the winger was dropping where we are used to that. It's about execution after that. If you are so used to playing against five at the back, why can't you beat it? Why can't you hack it at the end of the day? You've been in this job for five and a half years right now at Arsenal by the end of the season, and you still have zero ideas how to beat the low mid blocks. You have zero ideas, you have no answers. Because if plan A, which is your typical plan against every single formation, doesn't work, you cross the ball. And against 5 at the back, that's one of the worst things you can do, let's be real. So that is a big issue there. On how he used the weekend off. With the schedule we had, we could give most of the players some time off as well after the last game we had, and then do preparation we normally do. It's true we had more time, so we focused a lot of stuff on us as well. That's actually not the worst thing, I'm not gonna lie. And not having to do just game plans and very short training sessions relating to what's going to happen in the game, so that's very useful. Okay, last parts of the interview. On how important will it be to take a positive result from the first leg. You're playing 2 games, you certainly know that. And everything starts tomorrow. Tomorrow, the more we play without the intention to dominate the game, the better will be than them and win it. The better the result will be, I'm sure. We have to win tomorrow. Because the track record of Arsenal playing the second leg at home, especially under Mikel Arteta, it's quite devastating to say the least. It's quite painful, it's embarrassing, let's not kid ourselves, and it's gonna be a very rough one, especially if we don't get a good result now away. On PSV's recent form, the results vary in football. What I'm more interested in is how they behave, how they play, how they do certain things, and what we expect them to do against us, and what their weaknesses are to try and beat them. Well, to be honest, not wrong. On how different it is to last year. Every situation is different. 1 year in football is a long time. Yeah, look at Arsenal in Premier League. Last year, at this time, we were 5 points ahead of Liverpool. Now we are 13 behind. 18-point swing. That's a 6-game swing in general. So, hey. On whether it would be one of his best achievements as manager if we go through, the achievement is to see the team that we want to see tomorrow being better than the opposition in the winning game. Don't take it any further than that. One of his best achievements as a manager if we go through against PSV. What the hell is that of a question? We should be beating PSV. Let's be real. We should. Will we? That's a completely different story. For Arteta's biggest achievement, I don't even know what's Arteta's biggest achievement so far. FA Cup in the first season, you could say, because it's trophy. Besides that, he doesn't have any achievements to his name. He hasn't achieved anything to even get any chance to say anything that he has achieved something. On the importance of the defensive record, that's for sure for any team, but if you look at the history of the teams who have been very successful, the defensive record is critical. The defensive record means jack shit, let's be real, if you cannot score goals. And so far Arsenal cannot score goals, and that is the biggest issue. Because playing a 0-0 means nothing if you don't score at the end of the day. And then we have shown that we have capacity to score a lot of goals in the competition. Yeah, that was when you had Saka in the team. Now you don't have Saka whatsoever. Obviously, the options are different, but the team still has a lot of resources to do that. So that is the case what Mikel Arteta has waffled about regarding Arsenal. Now, starting 11. Starting 11 for tomorrow's game. Let's go 4-3-3 because that's what Mikel Arteta loves and he dreams about using every single game, let's be real. So, starting 11. Join along, predict with me the starting 11. The starting 11 I would put out. Obviously, Raya in goal. Let's be real. Backline kind of picks itself, doesn't it? Especially with the rest we have had, we have to put the best possible backline we can put out there. Let's be real. Let's not kid ourselves. After that, it's a bit of a struggle, I'm not gonna lie. This is the backline we should be putting out. Now, obviously, number 6 is the party. Knowing Arteta, he's gonna be very boring and predictable, right? So that's gonna be the start. Up until the front line, most likely that's gonna be the team. The question is what follows afterwards, because that for me is the biggest question mark. Obviously, Ethan plays right wing. Now, rest of the positions could argue is a big coin toss because Martinelli is slowly coming back. Most likely he's not gonna play. Let's be real. So that means Trossard is playing on the left. Does that mean we're gonna put Mikel Merino as a number 9 once again? Given that Arteta is very boring and he's very predictable, it stands to a point to assume that we're gonna have the same 11 we have had in the last 2 games at least. And this is the 11, and Mikel Merino most likely is gonna be a number 9. I'm thinking about this very heavily currently, because it's either gonna be a 4-3-3, 4-2-3, no matter how you look at things. I don't think Arteta is gonna do a 4-4-2 or something like that, because he doesn't have the cojones to change it. And to be honest, he should not change it at the moment, at least. As much as I want him to change it, I want him to do it in Premier League, not in Champions League. But we should do something. We should do something. We should put someone as a striker, which is actually a striker. Even though Mikel Merino was a striker, he did somewhat decently as well. Obviously, he didn't score, but Arsenal are gonna have chances. We're gonna cross the ball, most likely, and we actually gonna get these chances. Will Mikel Arteta put Merino as a number 9? He has no other options, because if it was up to me, and I'm not gonna lie, if it was up to me, I would put Oyedeji as a striker. I would basically put it in there, put him as a striker, and see what flies. Because, let's be real, Arsenal are struggling as it is. Playing Oyedeji as a striker wouldn't change too much. Let's just put it that way. Merino is gonna play striker solely because Mikel Arteta has done it for the last 2 games, and he will do it again. That's the reason why Mikel Merino is gonna. This will be the starting 11. Because Mikel Arteta in this instance, as I said, is very boring, very predictable, and he's gonna go with something that has worked before. And obviously it was Nottingham Forest and everything, but this starting 11 worked. Obviously he played Calafiori as a left back due to Maslow Skelly's suspension and everything. But I think Skelly will start today's game. He has had some time off, and I think with Skelly we look a bit better. Now the biggest question about this is still the attacking line. What we gonna do with the attacking line? Because if it was up to me, I would put Oyedeji as a striker. That's just me, obviously. Let me know what you think in chat, right? But I would put Oyedeji as a striker. I would actually maybe argue put Partey, Merino in the midfield even. But that doesn't work because PSV have very, very active midfield. And I'm putting Merino there could be actually do more harm than good, because Mikel Merino is not the best agility-wise, and he's not the quickest one. So Declan Rice being there makes the most sense no matter how you look at things. So the big question is, what's going to happen with the team? Because I'm not expecting an exciting game, whether you like it or not. It's going to be either a very big stink fest and it's going to be a 0-0 because Arteta is going to stink out the gaff, or it's going to be 1-0 for one of the teams, or it's going to be a 4-5 goal game. It's going to be either or. It's not going to be something in between. Because the way Arsenal are in the attack, I'm not sure. And the way Arsenal are in defense, I'm not sure as well, given the situation, how we play and how resilient we are in that regard. So for me, the biggest question is what's going to happen there. I'm trying to think a score prediction right now, by the way. If you put your score predictions, by the way, in the chat, in the live chat, and if you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe. So yeah, I don't even know. Score predictions, because I can see Arsenal nicking a goal. Maybe even 2 from a corner, for example. I can see that, because as much as I hate to say this, I can see Arsenal. I don't hate to say this, Arsenal are gonna score, but Arsenal will stink out the place to some extent. It's not gonna be a very, very good proper thing. I strongly believe the game could finish, let's just say 2-1, 3-1 PSV. I can see that, because the way they dismantled Juventus had chances, they just couldn't finish them. Arsenal's biggest issue is creating the chances, because our creation up top is very, very, let's just say, lacking quite a bit. Let's just say, to make it easy on the eye. I don't want to say PSV will win, but I strongly believe that they will. That is the biggest issue. Currently, if you couldn't tell, I'm kind of having this battle in between me in my mind. That's gonna be very realistic, and between my Arsenal's heart as an Arsenal fan, right? So my Arsenal fan in heart is saying that it's gonna be either 2-1 Arsenal and we're gonna stink on the joint somehow. The brain is saying 2-1 PSV. It's going all up against everything I've said before, but I don't know. For me, the head says either PSV is gonna win or it's gonna be a draw. Arsenal in heart obviously says that Arsenal are gonna win. That's pretty much a given, let's be real. Mike says that it's gonna be, head says 1-1. What is your heart saying? Let's just say it that way. Mike says that it's gonna be a 1-1. Liam says that PSV is gonna win. Score prediction is unsure. Heart says 1-0 Arsenal, and I totally get that. Totally get that. For me, I'm basically caught in between 2-1 or 3-1. I don't know why, but I just have this weird feeling that PSV will do a Mazza against us. Basically, that's what I'm saying. I kind of have a feeling that PSV will do good against us. Even though PSV's recent form is not the greatest, if I'm not mistaken. PSV schedule, let's look at this. Quickly on the dot. PSV schedule. They lost to Go Ahead Eagles in the Cup and in the league. They won against Juventus, they drew against Utrecht, and they lost to Juventus. So in the last 6 games, they have 2 draws, 3 losses, and 1 win. They are not in the greatest forms themselves, but notice something very, very, very specific. They score in every single game. They keep scoring. There hasn't been a game where they don't score since December 14th, when they lost 1-0 to Hervin and they lost 1-0 to Brest. So they score pretty much in every single goddamn game. And the worst part is, on average, they beat Liverpool at home, by the way. That is definitely not a good sign for Arsenal, first of all. But they score at least 2 goals on average, 2 goals on average at home every given time. And that is a big worry for me. Very big worry. You know what? I'm gonna go 2-1 PSV. I hate to say this, but I'm gonna go for 2-1 PSV. Last time I predicted an Arsenal loss, we got a draw against Nottingham Forest. I predicted Arsenal are going to lose to Forest 1-0 or 2-1, and it was a draw 0-0. So if I'm predicting again 2-1 loss for Arsenal, unfortunately. Given the previous records, given the Arsenal's attacking issues, how PSV have beaten Liverpool, how PSV are scoring pretty much every single game at home, they just dismantled Juventus as well in Champions League. They lost to Go Ahead Eagles 2 times in a row, which means they're gonna look for redemption. And in those 2 games, they have scored 3 goals. So definitely they're gonna score most likely tomorrow. They're going to be at home. The fans going to be behind them. Going to PSV definitely is going to be a tough one. Arsenal in general against PSV in 4 games have two wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, so pretty much even. So, and last time we were at PSV, we lost to them, didn't we? The last game against PSV we had away, we lost to them, wasn't it? Wasn't the last time we lost to PSV? See, we have played actually 10 games against PSV. 4 wins, 4 draws, 2 losses in general, which already is not good, let's be real. And the last game we played, we drew in Eindhoven. We won at home 4-0, which was kind of nice, I'm not gonna lie. We have lost at Eindhoven. Look at our away record at PSV. We won, okay, 2022, we won in Champions League 4-0. But overall, we cannot look at that. That was in 2002. We have to look at the recent times. And both times we have gone away to PSV, we have drawn or lost. And that is a big issue for me. That's why I'm saying it's going to be 2-1 PSV tomorrow. As much as I hate to say this, it's going to be 2-1 PSV. So let me know down in comments below what you think, because I'm ending the stream here. Have a nice evening. Enjoy football tomorrow. I hope I can manage to watch football tomorrow because after work I'm gonna come home. I have to reinstall Windows. I'm gonna need to clean my PC and everything. So I might actually miss the game and need to watch it on my phone or something. So time will tell whether I manage to do it in time. But obviously tomorrow there will be no stream because Arsenal are playing. There might be a video if I manage to basically fix my computer in time. Let's just put it that way. If I manage to do so, I'm definitely gonna put out a video. But yeah, I'm going 2-1 PSV. As much as I hate to say this, let me know down in the comments below what you think. What you think about Andrea Berta potentially becoming Arsenal's sporting director and how that could affect Mikel Arteta. So like the stream, subscribe, leave comments down below. Take care, stay safe, and see you all on Wednesday.